And what's up, everybody? This is Truth or Attention, and we got Chris with us again. We are at it again on our weekly show of what is it? Is it Fit
Bi-weekly.
Dads Live? Is that correct?
Bi-weekly, yeah. Fit Dad's Live. I want to make. I've been thinking, if we could make it weekly, that'd be a little better. But our schedules are so hectic, it'd be a big jump. When we first started, we were doing it weekly, and it was a heavy load. So I would
Yeah,
like
yeah. I
to
mean,
eventually, get back to weekly, but for now, we're doing it bi-weekly.
absolutely, absolutely, yeah. And I like the idea of trying to see if we can get back into a weekly deal. Our bi-weekly people seem to be, getting used to it and knowing that we're going to get the, come up here and get a good show for them. So now I think we ought to just try to ramp it up. I don't know, Chris. I mean, we'll talk offline, of course, but today, guys, we have a great topic, and actually, this topic came from our community. It is sleep and how that actually affects your health and fitness, and how all of that ties in, and just the simple idea or the simple notion of sleep. Whenever you could bust your tail in the gym, you could kill it on your diet, but for some reason, if you miss that sleep, you could actually still be sabotaging yourself. Chris, what do you think about that, man?
You can actually regress because sleep is. I mean, no matter how hard you work out, if you're not getting adequate sleep, that REM sleep, that deep sleep, your body's not making the necessary repairs to your muscles, so you're not going to be making. That's when the true gains are made. So you tear your muscles down, then you consume food. Those are the raw materials, and then while you're sleeping, that's when your body's using all those raw materials to rebuild whatever everything that you tore down during your workout. So it's like a three-step process.
Yes, yes, and it's so true. The thing I've heard it said many times, that gains are made actually in your sleep, not in the gym. You go in the gym and you put the work in, but your gains actually happen when you lay your head on the pillow. I mean, how crazy of a notion is that, Chris? I mean, have you heard of that before?
Oh yeah, I've definitely heard of it.
I mean, that's the real deal, and so again, we want to always each one of our shows, we want to give everybody one more tool in their tool belt to actually be more successful in their health and fitness journey. And guys, sleep is so very important. And like I said, it came from a suggestion of our from our community, and by came from Blackbeard. I don't know if he's made it on or if he's on this week already, but anyhow, I thought it was a great topic, and it's definitely worth covering. So let me kind of go over some of the notes to get us started here. I've been doing a lot of research on this week because this topic actually did excite me, and I didn't really think about it until Blackbeard brought it up. Looks like, yeah, looks like, yeah, okay, we got Blackbeard on with us.
He
Good
got the
deal. Good
reminder
deal.
a little late.
Join us, guys. But let me just kick us off, man. This is a
Go
very
for
interesting topic. Sleep, we all take it for granted. We think, oh, it's just something that we all do. But it's not exactly the case that we all do it well.
it.
Um,
Right.
that that's something that a lot of us seem to, come up short in. So let me see here. In my research, I've learned that or I was looking at this, and it says a lack of sleep prevents your brain from actually effectively making new memories. That's one component of what lack of sleep will do. Now, yeah, that doesn't affect you in the gym, doesn't affect you in your diet, but I'm gonna be itemizing out everything today on what sleep really does to the body, or lack of sleep does to the body.
Actually, memory, I do believe it does affect you in the gym because it affects your muscle memory. So
Fair.
yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I did want to interject and say that just because it that's another aspect of sleep that you know it actually I do think it would affect your muscle memory if
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair observation. That's something I didn't really look into. I would definitely encourage any of our people watching this live or on playback to look into that and see if it actually also affects muscle memory itself. I mean, it does does sound like it would, but regardless, I mean, I think today when we're done with this show, me and Chris are going to have you guys fully informed on really what the pitfalls of lack of sleep are really going to do. due to the body as well, as on the fitness side of things, as well as the health side of things. So lack of sleep also leads to an increased development of a toxic protein. I learned, Chris, toxic protein in the brain. It's called beta amyloid. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but it's associated with actually, unfortunately, Alzheimer's disease and dementia. So during sleep, the brain actually purges all of this particular protein, or begins to purge it. It tries to purge it out, and it has to have its full sleep cycle to do it. So that's why lack of sleep, or cutting your sleep cycle into smaller parts, actually leads to a buildup of this particular protein, then which increases your risk of developing Alzheimer's or dementia in your lifetime. Now, am I saying that if you have sleep issues, or you don't sleep enough, you're going to have Alzheimer's or dementia? No. I'm saying it increases your chances. But in knowing that, Chris, are you going to play with fire? Why would you play with fire? I certainly don't want to mess with Alzheimer's or dementia. That's a terrible disease process.
Definitely not. That's like, some people, especially younger people, they don't think about it like that. They don't think about the long-term consequences. I know I never did. I pulled many all-nighters out partying, doing all kinds of stuff when I was younger.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of like people that smoke cigarettes. The long-term consequences are you can get cancer, and you
Yeah.
can die from that. So it's another one of those vice type things, and people get in this routine where they're not getting any sleep. And I know a lot of dads that are, and women too, single mothers, working multiple jobs, and they just get into that routine of only sleeping 4 hours. And
Right.
I believe even Dwayne Johnson has done these interviews where he talks about how he only sleeps 4 hours a night or something, and he's
Right.
happy doing that. And I mean, I don't really see that being adequate enough to maintain his physique. But there's always outliers to almost everything. But
Right.
yeah, after you finished what you were going to say, I wanted to speak on this very interesting. Actually, Brittany, she's an A&P too, my fiance, and
Yeah.
she come across a disease, or it's either I believe it's a disease. Yeah, it's a rare disease where people aren't able to sleep, like they can't sleep at all, and they'll basically after a year they end up dying from it
Yeah.
because they cannot sleep. So I brought that up in a different tab, and I was going to speak on that a bit. But yeah, I'm really
Good.
happy Bella made it as well. I know she had mentioned that she said that they just got done fishing. Awesome. Well, I hope you caught lots of fish, Bella.
I hear that. I hear that. And fishing it, man, that's a good, relaxing thing to do. Now, if you want to talk about what's healthy for you, go relax and unwind with something you enjoy. And fishing is one of those things, man, that can really calm you down. That's fun stuff, man. But Chris, back to what you were saying, I certainly want to hear what you learned about that disease process, because I've heard about it. I don't know a lot about it, but I know that I want to hear about it, and I would, by extension, I think our listeners want to hear about it today too. I think that's a very good topic to cover, or a very good piece of this topic to cover. Um, Looks like here I've got a note here that sleep deprivation negatively affects the reproductive systems in the bodies, fellas. Sorry, but it's true. I'm pointing at us guys because we seem to be the ones that are most concerned about that stuff. But men getting 5 to 6 hours of sleep on average they actually have a testosterone level that is equal to a man 10 years their senior. So just let that sink in for a moment, guys. Whenever you're getting, like Dwayne the Rock Johnson talking about, so I get 4 hours of sleep a night and then I still go to the gym and get jacked. Here's the thing, guys. The
Further
Rock,
proof he's not natty.
well, the thing is The Rock, you like him or love him. I like the dude. He's a cool enough dude. I don't know him personally, but as a celebrity, I like him. But like him or love him, all these people are professional liars, right? That's a harsh way of putting it, but
They
they're
get
actors.
paid.
And
They
what is
get paid to
acting?
say things. Yeah.
They get paid to say things, and also they're just very good at keeping up a persona.
Charade.
And let's be honest, The Rock has a persona of this go get 'em attitude. Hustling, hustle, get the job done, no matter what. I'll lose sleep over it. No, no. That's not going to be effective. Get your sleep. You'll be more effective in your waking hours and actually be more effective in all that hustling that you're trying to go out there and do. But Chris, before I get too much into my other notes, man, I want to hear about what you got going on over here with this disease, man. I want to hear about that.
Well, let's see if it'll let me share the tab.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. So it's called fatal familial insomnia, and it affects the thalamus, the part of the brain that controls the sleep wake cycle.
Yeah.
Symptoms typically begin between the ages of 40 and 60. Most common symptoms are sleep disturbance, psychiatric problems, weight loss, balance problems. Other symptoms include high blood pressure, excessive sweating, and difficulty controlling body temperature. These symptoms tend to get worse over time. FFI, which is fatal familial insomnia, is usually fatal in 6 to 36 months. Almost all cases of FFI occur due to a specific variant of the PRNP gene and are inherited in auto, autosomal dominant pattern. Inherited in an autosomal dominant pattern, whatever that is. I'm not really sure on that. I'm sorry, guys. Diagnosis is based on the symptoms, clinical exams, sleep study, and imaging studies. The results of genetic testing can help help confirm the diagnosis. So it looks like it gets passed down. It's a genetic trait that gets passed down. And the treatment for FFI is focused on managing the symptoms. But we actually watched, I believe it was it might have been just like a YouTube documentary on it. I know she was studying it in, she watches a lot of a lot of doctors are on YouTube, and she watches a lot of, she watches a lot of videos on YouTube from doctors and stuff, and they were talking about it, and they were talking about one particular case where this guy, and he was talking about how just terrible it was for him. Like he was in pain all the time. He was unable to think straight, and I think he was only like 6 months in, during when they were filming and talking to him and everything. And I think he was like between 45 and 50. They said it's, symptoms usually begin between 40 and 60 or whatever. But he looked like an 80-year-old man. And,
Wow.
it was like hard to even think about. Like, can you imagine not being
No.
able to sleep no matter what, no matter what he did, no matter what medication they gave him, he could not sleep because there
Man,
was
that's
something
horrible.
wrong with the thalamus, the part of his brain that controls the sleep cycle, and it just would not allow him to go to sleep.
Talk about torture. Now, you think waterboarding is terrible. I mean, guys, if you literally cannot fall asleep, oh my God, I can't imagine. I can't imagine. Now, Blackbeard here says, he's suffered from insomnia himself. So now it's got to the point where as you see here, brought his comment up again. He's gone so long with insomnia and crap sleep that he's more messed up on 8 hours than when he just gets 4. So yeah, that's his body trying to, I guess, adapt to his lifestyle. But physiology doesn't change though, Blackbeard. And that's the unfortunate part is the body's still affected negatively by it, although you may feel more wakeful or more productive with just less sleep. The body still physiologically has to operate under that sleep cycle. And 8 hours being the optimal. You go above 8 and fine, whatever, but but below 8 your problem. So it's
Yeah,
just, but it's tough. We could sit here and just say you need to go get 8 hours, but with folks that suffer from insomnia, Chris, I mean, these folks can't do it just as easily as maybe you or I could when we just lay down and fall asleep. We just take it for granted. But today what we're doing here is just going down the list on the negative effects of lack of sleep. We're not
well, it's
preaching to
not
people to
just
go get more.
it's not just, I didn't mean to cut you off, but it's not just insomnia, it's also sleep apnea. I feel like we need to touch on that a bit, because that is
Yes.
you're basically suffocating to death. And
Yeah.
it doesn't only happen in overweight people, it happens to bodybuilders a lot, because
Yes.
they have so much muscle mass that the muscle mass is literally constricting their trachea, and they're unable to breathe. And then they'll suffocate, and then right before they're about to die, basically, because their brain, they're killing all kinds of brain cells.
Right.
And, Derek from More Plates, More Dates, he did a huge video on this, because he actually suffered from it whenever he went through his enormous bulking phase. And he got the sleep app machine, but it actually, you'll go 60 to 120 seconds, maybe even longer, with no oxygen getting to your brain, and finally you just jolt awake, and you're like,
Right.
you feel like somebody's been choking, because you've literally been choking. So
Yes.
yeah, that's another one. We got a question in the chat if you want to.
Yeah, let's bring it up. Let's see. I got Titus over here. First of all, thank you everybody in the on the live stream today who's joining us live, and we also want to thank you if you're joining us on playback. But we got a question here from Titus. Do you think physical activity or stress levels plays a role in the amount of sleep an individual needs? That's a good question, Chris. What do you think about that, man?
Well, I believe you need to develop a good circadian rhythm and stick to it, no matter how much activity you're doing on a day-to-day basis. Now, that
Gotcha.
being said, um, you might sleep better on days that you have had a more physically or mentally demanding day, because
Right.
you've got to. I used to bartend and serve tables. That's a very, not so much physically demanding. I mean, you do a lot of walking, but it's very mentally demanding, because you got to
Right.
always cater to every different customer and remember everything. But that was just an example. But when I would get out of there, I would feel like I just worked, because I spent 2 years working a sawmill, and I would feel more exhausted than when I got out of the sawmill, just mentally exhausted, ready, and I would sleep, just crash out. So I
Yeah.
feel like you need to maintain a consistent sleep pattern no matter what. You need to develop a good circadian rhythm. Um, and the circadian rhythm, it's so easy to get it out of whack, and once you do, it's very difficult to get it back into routine to where it needs to be.
Yeah.
But it's very important, because like I said, it's so hard. I actually just dealt with this myself. I had so for those of you guys that don't know, one of my side hustles is I buy and sell and I flip cars. I've been working on vehicles my entire life. I can rebuild an engine, transmission. I can basically, I've actually tore 2 trucks down to the frame, sandblasted them, and completely rebuilt them with my grandpa. But that being aside, I had a yard full of vehicles, because all my buddies always bring their vehicles to me because when they wanted them fixed. So I
Right.
actually was up until like 2 and 3 in the morning for about 4 nights straight getting all these vehicles fixed. And it took me literally, like, I'm still like, I even overslept today. I told Michael, he texted me, he's like, here's the link, here's the thumbnail. And I woke up and I was like, dude, my bad, I overslept. I'm still trying to get my circadian rhythm back in order from that.
Gotcha.
So yeah, it's very important. So I do think that you will get a better quality of sleep whenever you've had a physically demanding day, a hard workout, and I do feel like it'll help you fall asleep, maybe wake up less throughout the night. But I feel like the amount of sleep needs to pretty much remain consistent. That's my take on it. But let's see what Michael's got to say.
Yeah, I mean, that's all good feedback. I'm just going to continue the conversation on that. I'm not going to really refute anything you said there. Everything you said, it does make sense. So what I've got here in my research, Titus, just so you know. Oddly enough, I happen to research a bit on this particular topic because, that is a good question. Being, if you're more physically active or higher stress mentally during the day, do you require more sleep to basically recover the body and the mind? And so that's a totally legitimate question to ask. So in my reading, so to piggyback on what Chris was saying, um, it's almost like posed in a sense of a question. How long can a human being go without sleep until they begin to immediately or begin to see immediate significant impacts on the brain and body? And in my research, the answer is about 16 hours. After one has been awake for 19 hours or so, your mental capacity is so impaired that you'd be as deficient as someone who is legally drunk behind the wheel of a vehicle. So that's significant. And you're talking about just 3 hours difference, whether you've been awake for 16 or up to 19 hours. And that's that's the impact it has on your mental capacity immediately. So 16 hours, no matter what, of wakefulness seems to be the limit of sorts. And then therefore you have your 8 hours of sleep to sufficiently repair essentially the damage you did in your 16 hours of wakefulness. And so to go further into that question, if you're more physically active or more stressed during that day, do you need more sleep? The simple answer, Titus, is no. You don't need more sleep. Physiologically, the thing is I would compare it to like someone like me and then like a professional athlete. Clearly, they're going to be way more physically active and their stress levels are going to be much higher. These are millionaire athletes who are stressed under the gun, under their contract. So that's to say they need exponentially more sleep than me. Well, if they're sleeping 12, 13, 14 hours a day, when the heck are they practicing or playing games? So the simple answer is no, you don't require more sleep just because you're more physically or mentally active. The basic answer is your body requires 8 hours to replenish, to rejuvenate. It's that simple. Your body will replenish in 8 hours. And that's why that seems to be the magic number everybody lands on, at least from what I've read.
I mean, you're going to see so many varying suggestions from every bodybuilder, every influencer. People say 7 to 9, which is basically 8.
Right.
Some people tell you, you can get away with 6 and take a nap during the day.
Right.
I've seen, IFBB pros recommending naps throughout the day. Even I think it was Eddie Hall and maybe even not Jay Cutler, might have been Chris Bumstead recommending naps throughout the day to help your body. But I feel like if you're getting your 8 hour, of course, I could never compare to an elite bodybuilder, or an elite strongman or anything. So maybe, their doctors recommend something different to them. Always consult with your doctor, obviously, before you take anything from us. We are not doctors.
No.
We just do a little bit of research and try to share what we learn with our audience. That's all we're here to do. We're here to kind of help motivate people, shine some light on the BS, because we're bombarded with a flood of information through social media, and it is so difficult to discern what's accurate and what is inaccurate. So 100%. We're out here to try to help you guys know what red flags to point out, what the red flags are. And so always consult with your doctor. But I feel like the 8 hours of sleep, if your sleep is not being interrupted, and that should be sufficient. I feel like it should be sufficient for everybody. I feel like some sleep studies showed, I read that, REM sleep, the deep sleep, stage 4 sleep is the only time that you dream. And it takes 2 to 4 hours to get into that. But I know I've had dreams just kind of like dozing off before. So I don't really know what, I don't really know how that works. I think I studied that in college. So I don't, it's so difficult. And it's always a case by case basis. Everybody's brain chemistry is different, but one thing maintains the same, and that is sleep. Sleep is when your body not only recovers any physical damage, and damage could be an injury, damage could be just muscle, the tearing down of your muscles during a workout, but it also saves. It's almost like a computer, and it's saving your short-term memories, the ones it deems important, I believe, into long-term memories.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's repairing your brain. It's kind of resetting your short-term memory to get it ready for the next day, kind of clearing out so think of your long-term memory as your hard drive, right? And
Yeah.
then your short-term memory is like your RAM, your readily accessible memory. That's what RAM
Sure.
is. You look at a computer, it's got a hard drive, it's like 256 gigs, it's got 8 gigs of RAM. The brain kind of compares in that same kind of way. Because your long-term memory, you can remember a tremendous amount more than you can with your your short-term memory. So that's a decent, I think, comparison to that. So when you're asleep, your brain is actually saving what it deems important, or what was the most memorable, I suppose, the most
Sure.
shocking events, the chemistry of the brain has evolved to where we are now. We always evolved for survival. So mostly, if something fearful or traumatic or stressful happens, we're more likely to remember that. The brain is more likely to save that into the long-term memory, because it sees that as something that we need to look out for in the future to, stay safe,
Right.
survive. Anyway, back to the, base topic. Did you have anything else that you had on your log there?
Oh
Because
no, I mean, I'm going through this, and the thing is, man, is you're hitting on all these points. So uh, I can even piggyback on what you're saying right now, as far as that's concerned. So, and I can get on to what the lack of sleep does to the immune system. Let's say. So you're
yeah,
saying how this really affects the body at its deepest levels. So after just one single night of reduced sleep, which is, to me, going to be about 4 to 5 hours, of sleep to be exact. There is a 70% reduction in critical anti-cancer fighting cells called natural killer cells. Y'all can look that up, which is the reason that short sleep duration actually predicts your risk for developing numerous forms of cancer, which include bowel cancer and prostate cancer, fellas. That's a big one for us as men. And breast cancer, ladies. These are bad cancers that tend to ail many people, and you just don't want to increase those chances by just simply missing some sleep. This includes, so if you go back to it, the link between lack of sleep and cancer is now actually so strong. I was reading that the World Health Organization actually decided to classify any form. Now, check this out, Chris. I think it was. I almost laughed, or I actually kind of chuckled when I read it. But I mean, it is what it is. World Health Organization decided to classify any form of nighttime shift work as probable carcinogen. So those folks who work the night shift, their sleep patterns are so severely interrupted that they're losing sleep. And for those of us who've been on call, and I'm speaking to myself, Titus, if he's still on the stream, and many other people that work in the medical field or in medicine at all, these are highly effective on the body in a negative way, unfortunately. So lack of sleep actually impacts even your cardiovascular system, guys. So I want to just dig right into that because I always like to just give you guys bits of information when it comes to the cardiovascular system, and because we're always talking about health and fitness. So because during deep sleep, you actually receive kind of a natural form of blood pressure medication by sleep lowers the heart rate and it lowers the blood pressure. So insufficient sleep deprives you of that natural reset. So if your sleep is shortened, that lowered heart rate and lower blood pressure is also shortened. And thereby it affects the cardiovascular system in your waking hours. So getting 6 hours of sleep or less a night increases your chances by 200%, Chris. Listen to this, 200% of suffering a fatal heart attack or a stroke in your lifetime. And that's just straight up, guys. So sampling 1.6 billion people, and I say that with a B, for the next statistic should actually raise an eyebrow. So check this out. Daylight savings time. I don't know if y'all hate it or love it. I hate it. And I know many of us gripe about it, but daylight savings time, check this out. When you lose an hour, when we have to lose that hour on the daylight savings time, we see a 24% increase in heart attacks the very following day. And that's related to 1.6 billion people. That sample volume size alone is enough to raise an eyebrow. Now, whether they actually are, related or not, it doesn't matter. It's still quite compelling considering the sample volume itself. That's my opinion anyway. So
Yeah,
it's
because
wild,
on a subject group that large, it's hard to be a very controlled study. So it very well could be, other things that cause a few of them to have a heart attack. But on a number that
Absolutely.
large, I feel like there's some correlation there. There has
Well,
to be.
that's how I see it. It's like, so I didn't want to express that as that was some sort of a controlled study. That's simply an observation. But the fact that you observe it from a sample volume of 1.6 billion people, there has to be some sort of a small correlation. And then whenever you stack that up against the other data that I've looked into to how it affects the cardiovascular system, it just seems to line up. So it's just very compelling. So it's interesting. But we're also getting some great questions in live chat here, Chris. So Blackbeard says, do y'all think it would be advantageous for heavy thinkers to develop a routine to essentially distract the mind enough to actually fall asleep? So that's coming from Blackbeard. Chris, what do you think, man?
And I could actually, my grandma, she's really into meditation and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The easiest and the first one is one my mom taught me when I was younger, because I think I had just gone through like a breakup and I was all tore up about it. I was like 19 and I couldn't sleep. So, and because all I could think about was, bad stuff. Anyway,
Yeah.
so you start at 100 and you take in a deep breath. And as you breathe out, you go down to 99.
Okay.
Deep breath in. And when you go back out, 98. And you do that. And all you think about is counting down. And,
okay.
And if you can make it down to 0 without falling asleep, I will be impressed. So try that one out first. But you can actually there's a lot of different ways. There's actually I don't know. I listen to audiobooks sometimes when I'm going to sleep. And that you can listen to guided meditations, they're called, that help you fall asleep. There's apps for it. There's lots of YouTube channels for it. The apps I feel like are a little better because you can set the timer on them, or they'll shut themselves off after a set amount of time. But the guided meditation, if you just devote your thoughts into focusing on what they're saying, because it'll be like, some of them are kind of like corny seeming, but some of them, they're legit, man. They'll chill you out and they'll help you like put your mind at ease so that you're able to fall asleep.
Cool. I mean, that's definitely a good suggestion. And I agree. I mean, the thing is if you're a heavy thinker, you got to find some way it's really to distract the mind. You need the mind now to just switch over to thinking about something that is now boring, I guess, in a sense. Like it lulls you to sleep rather than actually turning your brain on. You're thinking about your day or thinking about the stresses of the day. I think that's really what it comes down to. Blackbeard's got another one here. He's got, what is your opinion on learned insomnia. Like he says, like me, military purposefully basically played with my sleep patterns for training and then real world. So, what are your opinion on a learned insomnia? Basically, he's got a follow up question here, just saying, can it be unlearned? So, just real quickly on that Blackbeard, yeah, when you are trained to, I get what you're saying. Like it's a learned insomnia. I think you said, yeah, learned insomnia. You are trained to basically be sleep deprived and still be effective. That's what the military wants you to be. They want you to be a survivor. And to be an effective survivor, you have to be able to think critically and focus under the harshest of situations, which sleep deprivation is probably one of the most harsh when you're talking about, a combat situation. So, can it be unlearned? Like anything else, it can. But I think in your situation, being that it's military training and they probably very much drilled it into you, and depending on how many years you serve, not just for you, Blackbeard, for anybody else, how many years you serve and you are trained to operate in those conditions, it's going to be much harder to break. But I think that goes back to what Chris was saying, where you need to start integrating some sort of a meditation. I know that may sound corny to some people, but meditation is actually a very helpful tool if you train on it. And again, meditation is something that it's like anything else. You train to be better at it, Chris. I'm sure you can attest to this. So you can't just pop in and meditate and you're just kick ass today. Yeah, my meditation worked. I went right to sleep. Like anything else, meditation is almost like a muscle you have to train. So you have to get better and better and better at it, because then you're learning how to focus on the meditation rather than the stresses of the day or your thoughts that are always piled up in your brain. So you have to give meditation a chance. It's not going to I'm not going to send you off to an app and expect that it's just going to be a miracle pill and you're going to fall asleep in beautiful baby slumber tonight. It's not going to
Yeah.
happen that way. It has to be trained. Am I right, Chris?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's like learning anything else. You're gonna have to, it gets easier and easier throughout time. Like, um, you'll probably get lower the first, couple of nights you try it, like in the countdown technique I told you. But as you progress, you'll be falling asleep in maybe the 80s, whereas when you first started, you might have gotten all the way down to like 40 or 50, or I mean,
Right.
40 or 30. I think the lowest I ever got, like on my worst nights, was like in 20, 25, and then I would lose count sometimes and I would just start over, but I've never
Right.
gotten to zero. And I
Right.
can say 9 times out of 10, it would work. And the only time it wouldn't work is if I just had something that was just eating away at me so badly that I couldn't even focus on the countdown, where
Yeah.
I really should have, sought therapy or something along those lines.
Sure.
But
Sure.
as for the learned insomnia, I just did a quick Yahoo search. I prefer Yahoo over Google, since Google is telling people that men can have babies now. So uh, it says, also called paradoxical intention. This therapy for learned insomnia is aimed at reducing the worry and anxiety about being able to get sleep by getting in bed and trying to stay awake rather than expecting to fall asleep. Light therapy: if you fall asleep too early and then awaken too early, you can use light to push back your internal clock.
Hmm.
So
Interesting.
that's from the Mayo Clinic. So,
Okay.
um, and that was just the synopsis of it. So,
Yeah.
um, I can, I don't think it lets me link things in the chat because I'm the guest. So, but the let's see. Yeah, if you want to look further into it, just go to the mayoclinic.org /diseases hyphen conditions and then /insomnia.
Okay.
And then you'll be able to find, diagnosis, treatments. But it was and it related that learned insomnia not only to, you were trained into, in the military.
Hmm.
It says, where did I just read that? Okay, so conditioned or learned insomnia. So you were more conditioned into insomnia is basically
Right.
what they did to you. So conditioned or learned insomnia is where your mind associates your bed not with sleep but with staying awake. And this can happen if you suffer from insomnia and at the same time use your bed for other activities, not referring to sexual activities. It's referring to like watching TV,
Right.
playing on your phone.
Yeah.
That causes your mind to associate your bed not with sleep but with those other activities, and that's why you
Right.
could have trouble. Also, I'm sure it's much worse when it's conditioned into you in the military, and I would
Yeah.
advise seeking uh, if you try the meditation techniques and you don't have any luck there, you might want to go a little further and talk to your doctor about it. See about getting a recommendation or referral, as they're called. Um, I always say, medicate. They've got a lot of medications that you can use to treat insomnia, but natural natural treatments, um, I'm always gonna shoot for those first because
Sure.
the less toxins you're putting into your body, I don't care what medication it is, it's going to have some kind of toxins in it. It's going to tax your liver and it's going to tax your kidneys. So I
Sure.
would always recommend natural treatment first. But if that doesn't work, then you might need to look into speaking with the doctor about it. So,
Sure. And so, actually, Chris, that's funny that Blackbeard's follow up question is, what are your opinions on sleep aids, be it prescription or non over the counter type sleep aids? So, Chris, do you have an opinion on that, man? I mean, we heard part of your opinion, but can you expand on that?
well, it actually took me straight when I clicked on one of the first link. It took me to Davago, which is let's see. I guess this is a prescription medication, so you'd have to get it uh prescribed to you. It says it's a dual orexin receptor antagonist with convenient dosing once nightly right before bed with at least 7 hours remaining before planned awakening. So, but my opinion, I've used sleep aids and they always make me feel like garbage the next day. Whether I mean, you can
Right.
use so I apologize for my son squealing back there. He's probably mad at his game or something. But yeah, they always just make me feel groggy the next day. I'm just, I would recommend, I mean, obviously, if you do need to use them, try the minimal effective dosage, and I would recommend that across the board with any medication, minimal effective dosage. Um, I go, and especially, I don't think we got anybody in the chat that messes with PEDs, but if you're looking into that or you ever do consider it, don't go with the gym bro. Oh, you got to do 500 milligrams of test for your first first cycle, and don't listen to that. Okay, go listen to Coach Greg. Go listen. I mean, I studied it for a year before I even touched the stuff. I mean, I'm not claiming to be an expert. Highest recommendation would be Derek for more plates, more dates, Coach Greg, and then Ryan Ankrum. And those would be my
Right.
top three on if you're wanting to look into that kind of thing. But yeah, he said, given the potential negative side effects to include addiction, I don't like them for myself personally. Yeah, I see
Yeah.
that's a big one as well. Yeah, I would definitely give a shot at those. The I forget. I don't know any of the apps offhand. Ever since I've like cleaned up my life and gotten a lot better and started working out and not being a piece of garbage that blows all our money on drugs, I've actually been able to sleep quite a lot better when I'm not, busy working on vehicles and such. But um, I would try it's related to counting sheep, what do they say? Counting, I forget about it. I always remember people saying counting sheep, but it's kind of the same thing. But you want to focus on the breathing and the countdown. And I would try that one first. And if you don't have any luck there, then I would look into the apps. I would research into, what's the best app to help me fall asleep at night? What's the best app to aid in insomnia, guided meditation, stuff like that. And then if you're still not having any luck, you're a veteran. I'm assuming you've got, decent insurance from being a veteran. So I would talk to your doctor about it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I mean, there's nothing more I can say on that. Chris hit it all, and really, Blackbeard. Then you really followed up with your own opinion of it, and yeah, I mean, ultimately you gotta weigh your risks to benefits, and which one's gonna to come out in the end, right? I mean, how badly do you need to sleep, and are you needing sleep bad enough that you're willing to risk, you know, the side effects or the whether it be short term or long term. So those are personal actually choices. That's nothing that I can give or Chris can give. We can just say there's certainly going to be side effects as you've already experienced, Blackbeard. So you just got to ask yourself, am I willing to deal with them to get more sleep, or am I just going to try another avenue? And Chris definitely suggested some good stuff to be able to get, turn your brain off. And I think that's the big thing that affects people's sleep, at least, us on this stream here today is our brains are just turned on with the stresses of the thoughts of the day. So we got to figure out how to turn it off. But you do have to figure out an effective solution to that because
One,
as Chris and I have both gone over in this entire stream, and it's stated very clearly that lack of sleep is very dangerous long term in the course of your lifetime. I'm not trying to fear monger. You're not going to die tomorrow because you lost sleep, but I can assure you, lack of sleep is detrimental to your health and fitness. Point blank, end of story. There's nothing else to discuss. So we just got to figure out as a community, and you guys share this out to other people so they can have the information to arm themselves to be better sleepers. Guys, we've got to try to get our sleep. The body requires it. It absolutely physiologically requires it.
yeah.
So
And one more thing that I had wanted to suggest is just
yeah,
take a good hot shower right before you're getting ready to go to bed. A good hot shower within 30 minutes and go into a cold room and then get under the blanket. So that's what I was told to take, kind of a longer shower. Just get in there and just, let that hot water kind of soothe your muscles a little bit
yeah.
and then go into a chilled room and then attempt that countdown technique I told you. And, come back and comment and let us know how it worked out.
Yeah, man.
And Bella, I'm glad you made it. And I hope you caught lots of fish. And Blackbeard, as always, thank you for your service. I have
Absolutely.
tremendous respect for our military.
Huge.
And I'm sorry that they conditioned you into insomnia. I hope that we're able to help you with that.
No doubt. No doubt, man. And I can't say it better than Chris. So, guys, we appreciate everybody who's made it on the stream today. Looks like we're probably going to bring this plane down for a landing. I got Titus bring in one more quick comment. Let's see if we can get it before we get out of here. What do you think about shutting off the blue light at least an hour before bed? So that's
Absolutely.
like on our phones or on our devices or televisions and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's the blue light that affects how well you actually fall asleep. Chris, can you comment on that?
Well, a lot of the newer devices, I don't know about iPhones, but I know a lot of the newer Galaxies that they've got a blue light filter you can turn on in your settings. But I would recommend yes, an hour before. I mean, I'm always badgering my fiance because she lays up on her phone before she goes to sleep, and
Yeah.
I put my phone down. The room is black, and you're gonna get better sleep. It's a lot more healthy to put your phone down. Like I said, I'll throw on an audiobook sometimes in my earbud. But yes, definitely blue light is detrimental to your sleep, and it makes it harder to fall asleep. Um, I forget. It's really bad for your eyes as well. I mean, when I go to the eye doctor, they've got all these poster boards up everywhere talking about how bad the blue light is for you. So
Yeah.
I run that blue light filter on my phone. I wish they had it on everything. I wish they would find something, less detrimental to your eyesight. Because I know my
Yeah.
prescription is continually getting more and more powerful.
Correct.
They're having to prescribe me more and more powerful lenses just over the
Yeah.
period of the past 2 years. So, I'm assuming it's because I'm either on YouTube and stuff like that. But yes, an hour before, yeah, that would, even 30 minutes before, or just when you go to bed, just don't lay up on your phone. That's all I
Sure.
gotta say. Don't lay up on
Yeah.
your phone trying to fall asleep. Don't do that.
That's what I would say, Chris. I mean, I agree with you. It's just an hour before. I don't know. I think that's overkill. I mean,
Yeah,
sometimes really, some of us, our bedtime routine is to get in bed and have a device up and just do some mindless, scrolling through Facebook or something like that to kind of shut the brain down. So by all means, do that, right? But just when you lay down, go ahead and get the blue light out of your face. Give it a couple minutes before you lay down. Get the room nice and dark, and you should be good. But yeah, Titus, hopefully that answers your question. At least some. At least it gives you our opinion. We're
right.
not eye doctors or medical doctors of any sort, but anything I've read is the blue light it does affect you negatively. But an hour before bed, I think that's overkill. I think
Yeah.
you can do without an hour. But I think Chris agrees. So, but
Yeah,
Chris, I
if
don't know,
you
man.
like
You
to
got
read
any
a book
closing
or
comments?
something, if you want to read a book or something, that's better. But you don't. I don't see why. Like always, consult the doctor. But I'll
Always.
say that always. But yeah. An hour, Michael said, that's a little bit overkill. Um, but yeah, definitely don't want the blue light in your face as you're laying in bed. That goes back to what we were talking about with the learned insomnia. So,
Yep. Yep.
but
All
yeah,
right, Chris.
I appreciate everybody for joining the show. Anybody catching the playback, please don't forget to subscribe to Michael's channel. And I'm sure he will link my channel down in the description as well, so that you can catch our next show, which will be in 2 weeks. That will be
Yep. Let me
I
see
can't
here.
flip the calendar from here, but
2 weeks. We got it on April 8th here, Chris. So
so
April 8th is
April
our next
8th,
show.
guys.
And yes, absolutely. I'm going to be linking Chris's channel in the description, guys. So make sure to go down there. And if you're not already subscribed, please click on that and subscribe so you don't miss our shows. We do them, like Chris said, bi-weekly. And we're going to look to try to get into trying to, do them weekly for you guys. We really enjoy the interaction live, and we like catching you guys on the playback as well. So anyhow, with that said, Chris, thank you for joining us once again for another one of our shows. And thank you for everybody in the live chat today and on playback. Until next time, guys, you guys have a good one, and we will be in touch. Catch you on the next stream.
See you guys later.